Welcome. In this particular video, we will discuss about the president's rule in the Indian context. So what it means for the Indian polity, how the president rule has been defined in our constitution. We will discuss about them in this particular video. So this topic, as you can understand, is important from your GS paper 2, which is the topic of your polity. Now I have already made a video, like if you go to the YouTube channel on this Legacy IAS channel, you will see that there is a video which I have made regarding the power of the Supreme Court with regard to the president rule. So there was a case in Andhra Pradesh where the Supreme Court has talked about the legitimacy or the us to have the option of president rule over there. So in that regard, there is a video that I have made that how that decision was troublesome. So in that regard, just check the power of Supreme Court, High Court in case of the president rule, declaring any president rule in any state. So continuing from then, let's try to understand what is president rule, what happened when president rule is imposed, and all such thing. So why we are reading it, first of all, just understand you must have been reading newspaper. So there has been a lot of political upheaval in the Puducherry after the first that the Lieutenant Governor Kiran Bedi, she was removed from her post, and after that there was a floor test in which the Congress elected government lost the confidence, and after that there is now speculation because the assembly election is also around the corner. So the idea is there are multiple options which are available to the now governor. He is the governor of Telangana. So there is few options available with the governor over here. So he could ask the like the outgoing CM itself to work for the limited amount of time before the dissolution or before the election is announced as a caretaker, or he could impose the president rules. There is also an option where he could ask the opposition to stake claim. So, but as of now, the most feasible one which has been highlighted is the president rule. So, this is the context in which we are reading it. Now, let's just come back to the polity part. Now, the politics behind all this is not very important, but the polity is. So, let's quickly see through it. So, Article 356, just remember, which is the article which deals with the what is also known as state emergency or the constitutional emergency, is the Article 356. And what is the content of this particular article? So it says that President of India has the power to suspend the state government and impose president rule of any state in the country if he is satisfied that a situation has arisen in which the government of the state cannot be carried out on in accordance with the provision of the constitution. So this is something which has been given as a context or the content of Article 356, which says that president has the power. So just remember, who has the power to impose president rule? As the name suggests, it is the president of India. He can impose the president rule and he can suspend the state government. But when he can do that, when he is satisfied that the state government, the elected state government over there is not in a condition to carry on its work. So basically what is known as the breakdown of the mechanism. So if such kind of things happen, if he is like satisfied, he can go ahead and impose the president rule in that particular state. Now there is also a thing which is related to the report of the governor. So basically what it says that in general condition, it will be the governor who will send a report to the president that okay, the state government is like cannot carried out its function according to the provision of constitution. But at time, even if there is no report from the governor, even then the president can impose the president rule. So just remember that constitutionally it is possible that even if there is no report from the governor saying that there has been breakdown of state government, even in that case the president can impose president rule. So these are the factors you should remember. Let's move forward and see what will exactly happen. So once the president has announced or has imposed the president rule, what will it mean? First of all, there will be no council of minister now. So we just saw in it, it says that it will suspend the state government. What that suspension will means that council of minister will no longer be functional. The state will fall under the direct control of the union. So basically this is the feature, the state emergency, constitutional emergency, or the what is also known as the president rule, will eventually tilt the system towards more unitary instead of federal. So it will not remain federal, it will become more unitary in nature whenever there is a state emergency imposition. And the governor will continue to head the proceeding and representing the president of India. So how the president rule generally work? It is through the governor. So governor of the state is the one who will be presiding over the legislation, who will be carrying on the work. The president has the power to declare that the state legislature's power could be exercised by the parliament. So this is what the president does. That is the meaning of direct control of union, which means the subjects which are generally in a state list, and only the state government can make laws on those subjects. But whenever there is a state emergency or president rule imposed on a particular state, the union or the parliament, Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, they will have the right to go ahead and make legislation on it. That is the power which the president can confer on the parliament. The state legislative assembly would be either suspended or dissolved by the president. Now this is something you should remember. It's not like it will always be dissolved only, it could be suspended too. So just remember, it could either be suspended or dissolved by the president whenever he is imposing the president rule. When the parliament is not in session, the president can promulgate ordinances which subject to the state administration. Now generally this is also the case, like generally president can only create ordinance or promulgate ordinance only for the subjects which are mentioned in the union list. But in case of there is a president rule imposition, in that case president can also promulgate the ordinances for the state administration. So these are the implications, that is what happens. So you can understand from here that the power directly go to the union, the legislature, the parliament would be able to make laws on the even the stateless subject, on the state administration. President will be able to promulgate ordinances if the parliament is not in session, and also there will be no council of minister, and governor will be the one who will presiding over the proceedings. So these are the things you should remember. These are the implications which take place. Now let's just quickly also see some of the other conditions which is mentioned in the constitution regarding the state emergency. For an example, what is the approval process? So a proclamation imposing president rule must be approved by both houses of the parliament within 2 months from the date of its issue. For an example, like in Puducherry, suppose if a president rule is imposed, the president of India declared that this union territory will be now under president's rule. In that case, what will happen? The parliament, both houses, including your Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, they have to support this particular resolution. So the proclamation need to get approval within 2 months from both houses of the parliament. So this is something which is mentioned in the Constitution of India. Now the approval takes place through simple majority in either house, that is the majority of the members of the house present and voting. So just remember simple majority. Now this is something, this is a homework for you. Go ahead and do that. What you need to do is that in your Lakshmikant book there is very simply it has mentioned that what is the difference between the national emergency and the state emergency or president rule. In that regard, just see the approval system also. So what is the approval system for the national emergency? What is the majority needed for its approval? How it could be revoked? All these things, there are differences between how the national emergency work, how the state emergency work. Majorly because of the emergency which was imposed in India in 1975 to 76, after which came the 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. So just remember, this is the act which actually changed the features for the national emergency. So again, go back to your Lakshmikant in your time, read about it. It is important for your examination. Coming back over here, for the state emergency president rule, you need the simple majority. Initially valid for 6 months, the president rule can be extended for a maximum period of 3 years with the approval of parliament every 6 months. So there is an upper limit. So there is an upper limit of 3 years. You can only keep president rule in a state for a maximum of 3 years. That too, every 6 months the parliament has to pass the proclamation by simple majority. A proclamation of president rule may be revoked by the president at any time by the subsequent proclamation. Now this is interesting. For the approval or for proclaiming the president rule, you need the approval from the parliament. But in this case, approval not required. In case of revoking the president rule, it is entirely the president can pass a new proclamation which says that president rule is no longer there. For that, you do not require the approval of the parliament. So just remember these things, and at the same time, in your Lakshmikant book, go ahead and try to compare it with what are the provisions under the national emergency. And as well, when you are doing the national emergency, just make another column and talk about the financial emergency too. So this way your like emergency chapter would be completed. So I hope you have understood this video. If you have any doubt, feel free to drop a comment.